According to the mystic Ibn Arabi, your heart must be vast enough to contain the entire cosmos, yet empty enough to receive a single ray of divine light. It must be a constantly shifting sea to reflect the infinite states of existence, yet a perfectly still mirror to reflect the face of the Absolute. This paradox holds the key to transforming our greatest vulnerability, our emotional volatility, into our greatest spiritual strength. This is an invitation to explore the most mysterious and powerful landscape in the universe, the human heart. We are not speaking of the muscle that pumps blood through our veins, nor even simply the seat of our fleeting emotions. We are speaking of the heart as the great sages of the Sufi tradition understood it, an organ of perception, a cosmic mirror, the very faculty through which we experience reality itself. In our modern world, we often feel victimized by our own hearts. We are tossed on the waves of its constant changes, one moment elated, the next in despair, one day filled with love, the next with a cold emptiness. We experience this fluctuation as a weakness, a flaw in our design that needs to be managed, medicated, or suppressed through sheer force of will. We are taught to trust the cool, rational certainty of the mind and to be suspicious of the heart's volatile and unpredictable weather. But what if this very volatility was not a flaw, but a clue to the heart's sublime and ultimate function? The Andalusian philosopher and mystic Ibn Arabi, known reverently as the Sheikh al-Akbar, or the greatest master, presented a vision of the heart that turns our modern assumptions completely upside down. He taught that the heart's capacity for constant change is precisely what gives it its power. The heart is designed to be a sea, capable of reflecting every cloud, every star in the sky of existence. The challenge is not to freeze the sea, but to learn how to keep its surface so still that it can reflect the unchanging moon above. This journey is a deep dive into that paradox. It is an exploration of the heart as the ultimate meeting point between the finite and the infinite, between the human and the divine. We will learn why the very thing we perceive as our greatest source of inner turmoil, the ever-turning nature of our heart, is in fact the secret to our greatest spiritual power. Prepare to look into a mirror you may not have known you possessed. A mirror's clarity has the potential to change not only how you see yourself, but how you see everything. The ancient Arabic word for the spiritual heart is Qalb. This word does not derive from a root meaning feeling or emotion. It comes from a root that means to turn, to revolve, to fluctuate. Embedded within its very name is the core of its nature. The heart is the ever-turning one. It is in a state of perpetual transformation, a dynamic field of energy that is never the same from one moment to the next. The Sufi sages have often used the metaphor of a bird to describe this nature of the heart. The bird of the heart is a wild thing. If left untended, if not given a safe and sacred place to nest, it will flit restlessly from branch to branch in the vast, distracting forest of the world. One moment it lands on the branch of ambition, captivated by the promise of status and success. A sound startles it, and it flies to the branch of fear, trembling at what the future might hold. Then it is lured by a glittering object and settles on the branch of material desire, consumed with wanting, possessing, and protecting some worldly thing. It rests for a moment on the branch of love for another person, only to be chased away by the branch of jealousy or misunderstanding.
This is the untended heart. Its constant turning is dictated by external stimuli. It is a slave to the world's endless parade of attractions and threats. This is the state that so many of us experience as our baseline reality. Our inner peace is held hostage by our circumstances. Our mood fluctuates with the stock market, with the latest news headline, with a passing comment from a stranger. We feel like a ship without a rudder, caught in the cross-currents of a chaotic ocean, our direction determined by whichever wave is strongest in the moment. The source of this enslavement, as the sages teach, is a fundamental mistake in navigation. We have allowed the bird of the heart to believe that its true home, its ultimate source of nourishment and safety, is somewhere out there in the branches of the world. We have allowed our hearts to become occupied territories. Ibn Arabi takes this understanding to a cosmological level. For him, the heart is a barzakh, an isthmus, or an intermediary realm. It stands between two great seas, the sea of pure, undifferentiated spirit, and the sea of the manifest world of forms, the material universe. Because of its unique position, the heart has the capacity to receive and reflect both. It is the bridge between worlds. Its purpose is to be a polished mirror. When the mirror is clean and held steady, it perfectly reflects the light and attributes of the world of spirit. We experience this as clarity, compassion, wisdom, and a profound sense of connection, or tawhid, the unity of being. However, if the mirror becomes dusty, tarnished, or fixated on one particular object, it loses its ability to reflect the whole. It reflects only the dust. This dust is what the source text warns us about so powerfully, the enslavement to material values. When we place a worldly desire, a material object, a specific person, or a personal ambition inside our heart, it is like gluing that object to the surface of the mirror. The mirror is no longer a mirror. It has become identified with the object. It can no longer reflect the sky because a single, finite thing is blocking its view. This is the tragedy that the mystics saw so clearly. The problem is not the existence of money or possessions or relationships. The world of form is a necessary and beautiful reflection of the divine. The problem is one of location. Are these things held in your hand, or have they taken up residence in your heart? A tool held in the hand is useful. The same tool that has taken over the heart becomes an idol, a tyrant. It dictates the heart's turning. The heart that is obsessed with wealth will see the entire world through the lens of profit and loss. The heart obsessed with status will see every human interaction as a rung on a ladder. The mirror no longer reflects reality, it reflects only its own singular, limiting obsession. This is how, as the wisdom teaching says, materialism can poison even the most sacred bonds, turning sibling against sibling, because their hearts are no longer reflecting each other or a higher truth, but are instead fixated on the same finite prize. This brings us back to our central paradox. The heart's destiny is to be both a shifting sea and a still mirror. How can this be? The resolution lies in the beautiful interplay between vastness and emptiness. The heart's vastness is its God-given capacity to take on the form of everything. This is the basis for empathy, for compassion, for true knowledge. As Ibn Arabi would say, the perfected heart is one that is able to turn with every divine self-disclosure. When God reveals himself through the attribute of majesty, the heart reflects awe. When God reveals himself through the beauty, the heart reflects love. When God reveals himself through the suffering of another being, the heart reflects compassion. It is the dynamic, living, responsive sea. It doesn't deny the waves of existence. It becomes one with them. This is its cosmic function, to be a microcosm that contains the macrocosm.
But this vastness is only possible because of its partner, emptiness. The heart's ability to take on any form is predicated on its ability to be empty of any fixed form. This is the essence of non-attachment, a concept found not only in Sufism, but also in Taoism and Buddhism. It is the state of shunyata, or emptiness, which is not a void, but a state of pure potentiality. The heart must be an empty stage so that the drama of existence can unfold upon it without the stage itself interfering. The moment the heart says, I am this emotion, or I am this identity, or I am defined by this possession,
It has lost its emptiness. It has clung to one of the reflections passing over its surface and mistaken it for its true self. It has forsaken its vastness for the sake of a limitation. To be empty is to be free. The empty heart is not an unfeeling heart. On the contrary, it is the only heart that can feel truly. It can feel joy completely without the fear of losing it. It can feel sorrow completely without the fear of being destroyed by it. It feels these states because it knows it is not them. It is the vast, silent, empty space in which they arise and pass away. This is the transformation of emotional volatility into spiritual strength. The strength comes not from resisting the waves, but from realizing you are the ocean. Our modern mental health crisis can be seen through this lens as a crisis of the heart. We suffer from anxiety because our hearts have become attached to a specific future outcome, and we live in constant fear that it won't materialize. We suffer from depression because our hearts have become attached to a past loss or a present identity of failure. We are not suffering from the feelings themselves, but from our attachment to them, from our mistaken belief that we are them. We have forgotten that our true nature is the pristine, empty mirror underneath all the dust and debris. The work of the spiritual path is not to acquire something new, but to engage in a lifetime of gentle, compassionate polishing. Let us now bring this profound philosophy into the laboratory of your own immediate experience. The polishing of the mirror begins with a single, gentle act of awareness. It begins by asking a simple question: what currently occupies the throne of my heart? I invite you to pause with me. Find a quiet space, take your seat, and gently close your eyes. Let your breath be your anchor, drawing your awareness out of the chaotic world of thought and into the simple, present reality of your body. Now, with your inner gaze, turn your attention toward the space in the center of your chest. Imagine your heart not as a physical organ, but as a room, a sacred chamber at the center of your being. And with gentle, non-judgmental curiosity, simply look to see what is in this room today. What has taken up residence here? Perhaps you will find the heavy furniture of a persistent worry, a concern about your finances, your health, or the well-being of a loved one. Just notice it. Acknowledge its presence, its weight, its shape. Perhaps you will see the flickering, restless images of a desire, an ambition at work, a craving for a particular experience, a longing for a person's affection. See how it pulls your attention, how it fills the room with its wanting energy. Perhaps there is a ghost in the room, the lingering presence of a past hurt, a resentment you were holding towards someone, or a regret about something you did or did not do. Feel its cold touch, its power to keep a part of your heart frozen in time. Do not try to force any of these things out of the room. Do not fight with them. That only gives them more power. Your task right now is simply to be the silent, compassionate witness. You are the owner of the house, simply taking inventory of the uninvited guests who have made themselves at home. As you observe them, a subtle shift begins to occur. By witnessing these thoughts and feelings instead of being consumed by them, you are no longer identifying with them. You are remembering that you are the room, not the furniture. You are the mirror, not the dust. Now let us practice the gentle art of emptying. Imagine a single beautiful window in this room of your heart. And with each exhale, imagine opening this window just a little wider, allowing a soft, fresh breeze to enter. This breeze is your own conscious, loving attention. It does not blast the furniture out of the room. It simply circulates, creating space, bringing in fresh air and light. As you sit in this stillness, holding these contents of your heart in this gentle, spacious awareness, you may notice them begin to lose some of their solidity. The heavy worry may seem a little more transparent. The sharp craving may soften its edges. The ghost of resentment may recede into the shadows. You are practicing the heart's paradox. You are being vast enough to contain all of these difficult states without resistance. And in that very act of vast, loving acceptance, you are cultivating the emptiness, the inner space that allows them to move, to change, and eventually to pass through. You are shifting your identity from the ever-changing contents of the heart to the ever-present container. This is the beginning of polishing the mirror. It is not a dramatic act, but a quiet, patient, and repeated return to this inner space. It is the work of a lifetime, and it begins now with this single, gentle breath. We began with a paradox, that the heart must be a shifting sea and a still mirror, both vast and empty. We now see that this is not a contradiction, but a dynamic, living truth. The heart is meant to turn, to fluctuate, to reflect the infinite creativity of existence. Its flaw is not in its turning, but in what it turns around. An untended heart turns around the axis of the ego and the world. Its life is a dizzying reactive spin dictated by fear, desire, and external validation. The spiritual path, the path of the heart that Ibn Arabi illuminates, is the path of changing the axis of rotation. The goal is to make the heart turn not around the fragmented self, but around a single, unifying center, the reality of the divine. When the heart has this sacred center, its turning is no longer a chaotic wobble, but a beautiful, harmonious orbit like a planet revolving around its sun. It can then reflect all the states of the world without being thrown off its course, because its center of gravity is secure. This is the ultimate freedom. It is the state of the dervish-hearted person, one who can walk through the marketplace of the world, who can possess things, who can engage in relationships, who can feel the full spectrum of human emotion, but whose heart remains an empty, polished sanctuary for God. They hold the world in their hands with skill and care, but never allow it to take up residence in their heart. Their heart is reserved. The profound message of the great master is this: your emotional life is not a problem to be solved. It is a curriculum to be studied. Your every joy, your every sorrow, every moment of confusion, and every flash of insight is a divine self-disclosure, a wave on the ocean of being appearing on the surface of your heart. Your work is not to stop the waves, but to become a better surfer. And you do that by strengthening your core, by finding your unshakable center. So, do not be afraid of your ever-turning heart. Do not condemn its volatility. See it instead as a sign of your immense capacity, your divine inheritance. You were created to be a mirror for the cosmos. The dust of worldly attachment and the forgetfulness of your own true nature may have clouded its surface. But the mirror itself is never broken. It is always there, beneath the surface of your thoughts, waiting. The work of a lifetime is simple, though not always easy, to polish the mirror. Polish it with awareness. Polish it with remembrance. Polish it with acts of beauty and compassion. Polish it with moments of stillness and sacred silence. And watch, with wonder, as it begins to reflect a light you may have forgotten was always there, a light that is not separate from you, but is the very essence of who you are.